Welcome to the Toyota Corolla Fast Button tutorial, where we go over all the buttons in the Corolla SE from left to right. Make sure you use the space bar on your keyboard or set the video speed to a slower speed in order to pause and absorb the information. Let's begin. Okay, so starting with the door, I have auto up and auto down windows all around. The door lock button actually has two little nubbies, so I can push that without looking and tell that I'm locking the doors, and a window lock with a little green LED to confirm that they're locked. To change the mirror, I turn it to R and toggle it, neutral, or turn it to left and toggle it. Down below, I have the lever for my trunk and the lever for my locking gas cap, which is on the driver's side. Also locking on two sides is your floor mat. To unlock, I give it a quarter turn, pull it out, and push it back in and quarter turn it to lock it. Always make sure you lock your floor mats. Onto the dashboard, I have the brightness wheel for my gauges and interior buttons with a locking position for brightest, the auto high beams button, the trunk lever, and the pull down locking lever for the steering wheel, which will allow me to telescope or raise and lower. In the back of the steering wheel, I have two separate stalks, one for the lights and one for the wipers. For the lights, I have daytime running lights off, the auto position, which will sense when it's dark out, parking lights, and full-on lights. But do be advised, when in auto, you'll actually have daytime running lights during the day so people see you, and it'll sense when you're going through a tunnel or under a bridge, or it gets dark out, and turn on the tail lights as well as the interior lights. This is the only way you can activate the automatic high beams. Onto the other stalk, I have a couple clicking positions by pressing down. Intermittent, which I can change how often the intermittency goes. Click down again for low, and down again for high during the really bad rain. If I pull this towards me, it'll wash the windshield, which is signified by this little symbol here. Onto the steering wheel, I have a pad on the left and the right. The pad on the left has arrows, a select and back button, which operate the multi-information display, which is the small screen here. I also have a button to answer and hang up calls, a volume control for the radio or my phone call, and then a separate button for the voice commands. When you're plugged into Apple CarPlay, if you press this button once and let go, it'll still start the voice commands on the Toyota interface. If I press and hold for 2 seconds, the little Siri orb will pop up and you can command Siri. On the right side of the steering wheel, I have full controls of the cruise control. So, to set the cruise control, I hit this button and it will say radar ready on the screen. See the symbol with the car? If I press and hold the button for 3 seconds, the car will disappear and the arrow moves to the left on this screen to signify regular speed cruise control. So that's not going to sense cars in front of you. Once I'm in radar, I hit set and I can increase or decrease the speed. I can cancel by pushing the brake or pushing the cancel button. But while I'm using the cruise control, if I'm using the radar cruise control, I can change the following distance sensitivity up to 3 different sensitivities right here. And it will show a diagram on the screen of a little car with different wavelengths for the distance. I have the lane departure alert here with lane trace assist. When I push the button, I'll also have the symbol up over here, which you'll see in the corner. And that also has lane center. So when you're driving and you have this on and you're in cruise control, it's called lane keep assist. It'll try to keep the car in the center of the lane and you'll feel the wheel turn to guide you. It's not a self-driving car. If you leave it, it will turn for a minute, but not even a minute. It will actually warn you to grab the steering wheel. So do not sit with your hands on your lap and watch the car steer itself. The mode button will go through different audio modes on the multi-information or on the Infotainment System, sorry, that's the multi-information display. So you can go through AM, FM, Bluetooth, etc. But if I push and hold this button for 3 seconds, it'll mute and pause the music. And of course, I can go back and forth between my songs here. Also behind the steering wheel, when I'm in manual mode, I can decrease the gear or increase the gear. But in order to get to manual mode, I have to shift down into drive and slide over to M. That's when I can toggle on the steering wheel, or I can actually toggle the gears like this. Onto the Speedo Cluster. On the Speedo Cluster on the left, I have a simple readout of my RPMs with a nice red needle to see, my engine temperature, fuel level, with a little symbol here, a little arrow to show me what side my fuel door is on, and the most important information, my vehicle speed is displayed right in the center with a nice silver bezel. There is a little stalk down here where I can change the trip, press and hold to clear it back to odometer, or press and hold to clear it. This screen is called the MID, it's multi-information display. So by using the arrows on the menu, I can go left to right and you'll see different icons on the top. So starting from the left, I have the Eco menu, which is the little leaf. I can go up and down and see different information about the gas mileage. This is most people's favorite screen because you have your digital speed and your distance to empty. Notice also that you have your outside temperature, the time, and a couple of your safety sense badges here, what gear you're in, and your odometer. If I go over to the right, I have my navigation menu. This will give me some important information while I'm navigating. This is vehicle information, which is just one menu. It shows me my trip distance and my time. Settings is where you might spend some time. If I press and hold OK, I can change some of the advanced settings on the lane departure alert and lane trace assist. Pre-collision system I can turn on and off, or if I press and hold, I can change the sensitivity level. Road sign assist, like I mentioned, that's the one that reads the road signs. I can turn that on and off, or if I press and hold, I can change some settings. In vehicle settings, you also have to press and hold OK. And here's my tire pressure warning system. And I can do scheduled maintenance here as well. Over here, I have some settings for my cluster display, like units, the Eco badge coming on and off, or my drive info. So I can change the way the information displays, or I can even turn the MID off if it gets a little distracting. Then I push any button to turn it back on. And the last menu is the warning menu. So, about 500 miles from each service interval, you'll get that little warning symbol lighting up orange saying maintenance needed. Don't be alarmed, just call your Toyota store and schedule your maintenance. If something is wrong with one of the sensors, or anything really happens with the car, because the car has sensors all over it, like any new car, it will store it in the warning menu here, and that will stay lit up orange, and the orange symbol may actually go down below continuously so that you don't forget. That concludes the tutorial of the multi-information display called the MID. Now we're going to move on to the climate control. For the Corolla SE's climate control, I have one knob for the temperature, as you can see by the red and blue. I have a separate knob for the fan speed here. When I change my temperature, it displays right next to the button. When I change my fan speed, it also displays right next to the button. I can turn the system off with this button here, and resume by increasing my fan speed again. The front defrost and rear defrost are right next to each other, which makes things convenient so you can see during the cold weather. When you use the rear defroster, there's a little symbol for the mirrors because you have defrosting side mirrors. This will be the mode to change the air direction. And I can actually choose Eco, Heat, or Cool to try to boost my gas economy, but do keep in mind the AC will be a little more mild, as well as the heat. On the end, I have the AC button, fresh air or recirculate. Pro tip, when it's warm outside, use recirculate with the AC so the car can keep cooling the air that's already cold. Above the climate control, I have the hazards lights, which doesn't have to do with the climate, but it is there and it's a very important button. Let's move on to buttons down by the shifter. Okay, so buttons down by the shifter. I have an automatically applying parking brake. It is fully electronic, so when I put it in drive, it releases. When I put it back in park, it reapplies. If I'm buckled up, I can actually push this button and it will hold the brakes so that at the red light I can take my foot off of the brake while in drive and leave it there. Then I just give a little gas to go and come to a stop and it'll hold for me. What that looks like is, on the Speedo Cluster, when I push the button, I get the little symbol in green. And then when I put it into drive, it'll say it also in gold. When it's in gold, that's when I can take my foot off of the brake and the car doesn't go anywhere. See? So I'm in drive, but it doesn't go anywhere. If I give it a little gas, it will release, but I am parked next to a wall. This does not work in reverse, and you do have to turn it off when you're done. Don't forget to put it back in park. Up here I have a separate sport mode, which will give me a little bit more pep, and a dedicated button to turn off my skid control, which some people call vehicle stability control or traction control. It's all a very similar system. That system is very important for your safety because if you're going around a turn and one of the wheels starts sliding, it'll cut power to that wheel to gain traction again. An instance where you might want to turn that feature off is if you got a lot of snow and you need full power to the wheels, or if you want optimum performance, say you're taking this car into like a circuit, or, which I don't condone, you do a burnout, which is not going to be that great for the CVT. Onto the glove box, I have a simple pull lever here. There is a reminder sticker about the USB plug, which is right there. This is where you have to plug in your phone when you're doing Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It is not wireless, it's a plug-in. Just like it's been, wireless is coming in the future. That's on the new Tundra right now. Back by my arm, I have dedicated storage with a 12-volt plug and USB-C. And down below, I have a nice soft surface with a decent amount of storage, but no secret door like some of the older models had. There's no little flip down tray. This is what you get. To fold down the back seats, as mentioned in my review video, you push down this little button here and the seat will fold right down, and it does so in a 60-40 split. To raise your seat level, you pull up on the seat height raiser and release, and to decrease your height, push down and release. This lever here is for reclining the top portion of the seat. For child locks, you push this button down and they won't be able to get out from the inside, but you can simply open it up from the outside. Makes a fun trick, but be careful. And when you pop the hood, your hood lever is going to be just right of center. So when you lift the hood, it actually goes in this direction. And you have a flip down arm, not the flip up like it used to be. Once you're done doing whatever you're doing, hover about 6 inches over the hood. Don't push down, you could dent it. If you park in a tight area, you can actually fold in your mirrors by giving them just a gentle push. And don't forget your spare tire and your tools are down below. When you buy your Corolla, you want to download the Toyota app right away and register for your Safety Connect. There's a flip down door. If you push the button once, you'll talk to somebody from the Safety Connect service center, but if you push it 2 times, it'll actually summon the EMS. I have 2 separate buttons for my individual lights here, and if I push this button, the lights will come on when the door opens. This button will turn on all the lights, including the one in the back. Dear Toyota, if you ever see my channel and you see this video, please, for the love of all of us, make these light up. Make them light up blue, run the electricity through them, make them light up, because at nighttime, when these are not lit up, I hit the wrong button and I mess up all my settings. For the ventilation, I cannot lock these closed. However, the vents on the side can be locked closed by pushing them to the outside of the car. There's a flip motion here for the darkening of the rear view mirror. It is not auto dimming. And to operate the mirror here, I slide the door, I get a light, and when the sun is in that awkward space, I have a plastic slide out to protect the sides of my eyes. Now onto the infotainment system. So like I mentioned, the backup camera is right on the screen. I have 1, 2, and 3 feet away, signified by the different lines, with a dash for the center of the vehicle. The bezel is a piano black that has 4 buttons and a knob here, very common on most Toyotas. And they're pretty much the same buttons on all Toyotas. So I have the push power and volume for the radio, which like I mentioned, I can also control the volume here. I have the home screen, which I'm in, shows you different information all at once. Menu, which we'll go to, where I can change some of my settings or turn the screen off. Audio, which is a great place for many people. And maps, which it will prompt you for this because it doesn't have the integrated navigation. You'll want to plug in for your connected CarPlay so you can see whatever app you like to use from the phone. If you're old school, I'm sorry, it's not integrated and there's no CD player. Over here I have the apps where I can set up my Wi-Fi trial or get my notifications from Toyota. And this is where I can connect my phone or see my phone menu for making calls. And I can seek and track through my songs when I'm on the radio. Of course, down below I have my tune and scroll for when I'm on the radio. to the menu, which is our most important button. This is where we're going to do most of our tutorial. I have these different apps here where I can access things that were otherwise on a button here. But more importantly, on my setup, I can change some advanced settings here. But before we get into that, this is a really cool trick that everybody should know about. Not only can I turn off this little bright screen at nighttime here, if I go to menu, display, screen off, it turns off the screen and I can still listen to music. All I do is push a button again and I will resume the screen use. While I'm in display, I can actually adjust some of the fine settings, the advanced settings for the contrast and brightness. I don't suggest messing with that because if you change the brightness here, it will change the brightness to the screen. If you dim this too much on this setting, at daytime, it's going to be hard to read. But onto my setup. We'll start with the left column. I have some Bluetooth settings here where I can add a device. Audio settings. This is where I can add a phone. So some of these things are redundant so that it's all interweb so you don't get lost. But when I go to voice, here's a setting you might like. Training the voice recognition. You can teach the car to learn your voice. My favorite menu is right here because I can customize the door lock settings so that when I put it into park, the doors stay locked. So you can change that right there. Let me hit the back button. And my light settings, I can make my headlights actually stay on longer to help me light up my driveway when I turn the car off so I can see where I'm walking. I can also change my interior light timer to up to 30 seconds, which is nice because I usually take my time to get my wallet and my things out. And the auto AC mode is on here, which is a nice feature because when I turn the temperature all the way down, it'll know to put the AC on for me, which is great. Like before, this is where I will set up the Wi-Fi trial, and this will just access the apps. Now back to menu, go to setup, the right side. So the right side is where I can change the clock. Super easy to get to. My language, some projection settings for the CarPlay, but you'll like this one. I can customize the way the home screen looks by changing the layout, and I can change the information that it shows and set it so that when I hit home, I can change the information that I show. When connected to Bluetooth, the phone menu here will have 4 little slots for people. If you press and hold and set somebody you call a lot, these 4 little widgets will be a simple press and instant call to whoever you want them to be. Back on the setup, I can turn the beep on and off. So if I don't like the beep, I can turn that off here. I can change the color theme, which I'm going to leave this to for the next owner because look how cool that is. But I had it on white to make it easier for you to see. Here we go. Makes it a little easier on the video. And these are some advanced settings that I don't suggest you get into. But down below in the bottom of the scroll down, you have software update settings where you can check for software updates, etc. But since we're done with the infotainment tutorial, let's set it to the sporty color here. Check out how cool that is. Matches those red needles. And that concludes the tutorial video, guys. I hope this was helpful. If it did help you, please let me know down below. I love to hear about people that I'm helping. If you know somebody with a Corolla or somebody who's in the market, make sure you check out the Corolla review video that's related to this. And let me know if I missed something, if there's something in particular you want to see. And until the next time, I will see you in the next video. Peace.